A new organization has been formed in Atlantic City that is poised to build upon the city's resurgence. We learn more about a minor league soccer team that is also in Atlantic City. It's all here on the next Latino Motion. Join us.
Choose to get lost in the woods to gain experience in forest management.
Choose to travel through time to understand the past.
Choose to soar to pursue a career in dance.
Stockton University offers 50 high-quality academic programs, small class sizes, and affordable tuition. Choose to match your interests and talents at one of New Jersey's nationally ranked universities.
Latino Motion with Bert Lopez is presented by Latino Motion Public Affairs Media, a New Jersey nonprofit corporation, and Stockton University. This edition of Latino Motion with Bert Lopez is brought to you by the HD Studios at the campus of Stockton University. Funding for Latino Motion is provided by Atlanticare, a member of Geisinger, Atlantic City Electric, energy for a changing world, and South Jersey Gas. Welcome to Latino Motion, a weekly interview show highlighting issues impacting New Jersey's Latino community while advancing understanding of Latino cultural heritage and contributions to our society. And here is your host, Bert Lopez.
Buenos dias and welcome to Latino Motion. Today we learn about community development work that is building upon the Atlantic City resurgence already underway. Joining me is Elizabeth Turnick. She is the president of the newly formed Chelsea Development Corp. to tell us more about these initiatives. Elizabeth, welcome to Latino Motion.
Thank you for having me on the show.
And this is your second time on this show. I know you were here previously wearing a different hat, but tell me about your presidency of the Chelsea Development Corp.
Absolutely. So the Chelsea Economic Development Corporation is a newly formed nonprofit organization that's focused on the Chelsea neighborhood. The Chelsea neighborhood is where the new Stockton campus has been built, as well as the new South Jersey Gas building. So we're trying to leverage that investment to help the residents of the neighborhood experience a higher quality of life and also expanded economic opportunities there.
So we know that development, you mentioned Stockton and the South Jersey Gas, that development that's taking place certainly has created opportunities. We want to expand upon that and get the community engaged. How are you doing that?
Well, our main initiative is to apply for grant funding to help with projects within the neighborhood. And in order to do that, we are completing a neighborhood plan, which requires community input in order to identify priorities of the neighborhood. So those priorities could be improvements to the business district, help with businesses to create new facades or signage. It could be job training, it could be youth programs around art or music or sports. It could be improvements to O'Donnell Park, for example. It could be special events. It could be helping people to become homeowners rather than renters.
So when you talk about a development corporation, it's not just building buildings, right? You're also looking to improve the quality of life in those neighborhoods. Correct.
It could be for programs as well for the youth or for the residents. It could be financial literacy programs for the residents. So there's a lot of opportunity. What we need to understand is what do the residents feel would be best for their neighborhood.
So where's the money coming from to support these kind of initiatives?
The main source of funding is a program issued by the state called the Neighborhood Revitalization Tax Credit Program. It allows for up to $1 million a year in tax credits that corporations would otherwise be paying to the state. They can redirect those funds to a neighborhood organization like the Chelsea EDC that has completed a plan and had that approved by the state.
So the next phase is you obviously have formed, organized, you're collecting the data. Next step is to develop that plan, present it to the state.
Correct, yes. But we don't want to just ask the community for their suggestions and to attend meetings. We're actually trying to engage in some projects to help the community now as we go through this process. And we have been doing that in a few ways. We held some open houses for folks to understand all the financial incentives to buy a home in the Chelsea neighborhood, and we created a tour to show people homes for sale. We also sponsored an event at Stockton for new students that brought in 10 neighborhood restaurants, and many of them Colombian, very ethnically diverse, Colombian, El Salvadorian, Vietnamese. We brought those restaurant owners to the campus, and they served the students.
And I know that was not only a delicious event, but it was a very successful event.
It was. It started to create a relationship between the students and the business owners, and that's one of the main objectives, to take the investment and all the folks that are now coming into that 2-block area of Stockton and South Jersey Gas, and have them go into the neighborhood and visit the stores, go to the restaurants, and really support the community.
Why is home ownership such an important part of reviving a neighborhood?
Well, homeownership does a lot of things. One of the things it does is it helps to stem displacement. So if someone owns their home, they can't have a landlord sell the building and have them move. So if they want to stay in the neighborhood, it's really a great way to do that. Also, it improves the quality of the housing because people take better care of their house when they own it, and generally owners take better care than landlords. It also builds wealth for the residents. So the average homeowner has about $200,000 worth of wealth, and the average renter has about $2,000 worth of wealth.
Let's talk about the two anchor institutions that are there, Stockton, South Jersey Gas. How important are they to helping develop that neighborhood?
Well, they've been great partners so far. We have members of their leadership team on the Chelsea EDC board, along with a lot of diverse community members on the board of about 18 board members. And they have been doing programs in the neighborhood and want to do more. And this collaboration in creating the plan will help them to understand what's important to the neighborhood and what kind of programs will have the greatest impact. Just a small example, South Jersey Gas does a fundraiser walk each year, and they asked for a contact at the local school to have a t-shirt design contest. And so they're going to do that in the Sovereign Avenue
And you
School.
have another important player, which is your employer. Tell us about that.
Sure. AC DevCo is the nonprofit that built the Stockton and South Jersey Gas development. So the $200 million investment that's been made there was facilitated and brought together and built by DevCo. So AC DevCo has allowed me to take my time and work on the Chelsea economic development.
Very, very grateful. I want to talk a little more about that community input. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back with more Latino Motion.
Latino Motion with Bert Lopez is presented by Latino Motion Public Affairs Media, a New Jersey nonprofit corporation. Join us online at www.latinomotion.tv. Find us on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. We encourage your comments and contributions for show topics.
Welcome back to Latino Motion. Elizabeth Turnick is back, and we want to share some of the Atlanta City partners and the work they're doing to move the city forward. And I know, Elizabeth, part of your work is to collaborate and connect the resources that are available. Tell me a little more about that.
Sure. Well, starting with the Chelsea EDC board, we have a very diverse mix of corporations, anchor institutions like Stockton, small businesses, residents, and community organizations, and we're very happy to have you on our board. So that's where we start, and now all of the resources that come along with all of those individuals and those corporations is going into the Chelsea EDC. But in addition to that, we've really been surprised at how many organizations there are providing services to the residents of the Chelsea neighborhood and, of course, the whole city. So at our last two events where we were seeking public input, we also had community outreach tables available, and there were programs such as rent assistance, assistance with utility bills. There was information on first-time homebuyer grants. The Atlantic City Police Department was there with their community outreach program. We also had some schools. We had the Latin American Economic Development Association that helps small businesses with grants. We also had recruiting for jobs for the census. So a lot of resources exist already. So one of our first goals is to connect those resources with the community.
Not only the diversity in terms of the number of resources, but this is also happens to be a very diverse neighborhood that we're focusing on.
Absolutely, and that's actually one of the strengths of the neighborhood and something that we'll continue to celebrate.
And I know particularly within the Asian and Latino community, very high numbers, 44% Latino, 35% Asian within that community. And certainly want to be able to find ways to celebrate that diversity and to bring that community engaged and certainly get involved in this process as well.
So for example, we have been translating our flyers and even some of the programming that we're doing into the languages that are necessary to reach all of the residents, because traditionally certain populations have not been included or have gotten the opportunity for public input.
So what we want to do is look at the video of some of the messages that were given out when we were seeking input from the community just recently in Atlantic City. Let's listen in.
So just some creative ideas. I know that having vacant homes has been something that I've tried to work on for a long time in the city, and that would be obviously very rewarding. If you have a vacant home in your neighborhood, you know how the negative effects could be. Other ideas would be to activate O'Donnell Park with events and activities. Try and help the business district with new facades and new signage. Generally just improve the aesthetics. I think there's a lot we can do in that regard in the neighborhood. Waterfront recreation, taking advantage of our location. Youth programs on arts and music. Job training. Branding of the neighborhood, the Chelsea neighborhood. Special events and festivals. And those are some ideas just to get your creative juices flowing.
Stockton as an anchor institution must be a catalyst for change here in Atlantic City and in our Chelsea neighborhood. We've all been beneficiaries of the growth that Stockton has experienced over the last decade or so, as evidenced by our roughly 2,000 employees, nearly 10,000 students, and over 15,000 Stockton alum that reside in Atlantic County alone. We are exposing more of our youth in the city to Stockton through our campus tours and other programs for students to get them really more excited about the possibilities of attending college. We're doing educational collaborations with students and teachers from Sovereign Avenue and Richmond Avenue schools right here in the neighborhood. Many of those activities are facilitated by our faculty and professional staff. Our College Bound program is a grant-funded program comprised of middle and high school age students from Atlantic City and Pleasantville. The students attend classes and career-oriented workshops. They receive mentoring and participate in field trips over 10 Saturdays as part of a summer program. The program also helps navigate the students and their parents through the admissions and financial aid process. The program is designed to help prepare them to attend and succeed in college. And this is just another way in which we encourage our local students to plant themselves where they can grow.
You know, the demographics in Atlantic City certainly has changed over time. During the decline in the 1980s, when the population was decreasing here, it was the Latino and Asian that have helped to offset the population. In fact, the census showed that Hispanics have grown from 5.8% in 1980 to 25% in 2000, and Asian from 0.6% to over 10,000. So the demographics does matter in this census tract 3, 4, and 5. It does mean a lot for all of you who are in business in terms of the clientele that you cater to, and certainly we want to make sure that as their tide rises here and we improve our community, that we're also focused on the folks that do live here in that demographics.
So I just want to give a commitment from the Atlantic City Police Department. We're doing and willing to do everything and anything that we can to improve Atlantic City's economic situation, to improve the quality of life. We're willing to partner with any individual or organization that has the same goals to that, and we're just willing to work with everyone. And I believe that Atlantic City is definitely on the rebound, and its best days are ahead of them. So thank you.
Well, that was just a summary of everything that we heard. Obviously, it was a wonderful event. Thank you so much.
Great turnout that night.
Yeah, and thank you for joining us here on Latino Motion.
My pleasure.
We'll be right back with more Latino Motion. Welcome back to Latino Motion. One of the exciting things, and perhaps a lesser known fact in Atlantic City, is that it has a minor league soccer team. And joining me is Andrew Wagas to tell us more about this. Exciting news and very little known about the Atlantic City Football Club. Tell me about it.
Yeah, well, we're hoping to change that, certainly. And, shows like this are a great platform for us to do that. So we're going into our third season. We are a single-A minor league soccer team, which if you equate it to baseball, you have single-A, double-A, triple-A in Major League Soccer. Same thing in minor league soccer. So the majority of our players are active college players at the top universities in the country who are being scouted by Major League Soccer to be drafted as professional athletes in the coming years.
So like baseball, usually they're associated with a major league team. Is your club also associated with a major league?
Sure. So in soccer, teams are generally independent, and they work with various teams in different capacities. So we have relationships with teams in terms of training and schedules, but we're an independent club.
So you're more like a free agent.
Correct.
All right. Let's talk a little bit about how the players are selected.
Sure. So we have a lengthy process and a team general manager who goes through everything from coaching interviews to game tape to try to identify the top college players or professional players who are out of contract and looking for a landing spot for a team to play. So once we have that group together and we try to figure out what we want from a team standpoint, we go out and we recruit. And we do that based on the amazing resources we've been given by our sponsors in Atlantic City. Our players get to live at the Tropicana Hotel and Casino from April all the way through the end of August, which is an amazing experience for them. So because of that, we have done very well in terms of recruiting, and it's led to a lot of on-the-field success in a short time.
I know by your name you couldn't tell that you're Latino, but you do have Latino roots.
I do.
And soccer happens to be a very big sport throughout Latin America. How important is it to engage the Latino community with your club?
It's everything. In fact, the thing that drew me to Atlantic City and this project in particular is the incredible diversity of the Latino population in Atlantic City. It's over 40%. In the neighborhood we're in and in Pleasantville, but there really is a lack of organized youth sports structure, and even more so, there's a lack of outside eyeballs on the kids in Atlantic City who would give them opportunity to go play without charging them money. So our mission is to be very focused on youth development, to work in the community, and to try to create a program that allows these kids to be seen and to participate without costing them a fortune. Engaging the Atlantic Soccer League, which has been a cosmopolitan league running for over 20 years in Atlantic City, has an incredible over 600 players participate in that league on various teams. So the outreach to them has been huge. And then, of course, in the schools and the various businesses that have Latino roots, we've been able to reach out to them and try to attract that as our core fan base.
Now, I know you started in 2017. Your first season was 2018. Yep. But you had some tremendous success in your second year. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so our first year we went 5-5, and honestly, building a team from the ground up, we were incredibly fortunate to do that. We missed the playoffs by a single point and only one game. But in year two, we really learned a lot of lessons, and we were able to recruit a tremendous team. We had a partnership with the Jackson Lions football organization in Central Jersey, which provided a lot of players, and we were able to win our conference in the second season. And what that does is it qualifies us for the U.S. Open Cup, which is the third oldest continuously run soccer tournament in the world. And that's a tournament open to every Major League Soccer team, every AAA team, AA team, and then a select number, 25 total, of the Division IV or single A teams. So this year we were one of the 200 that got a bid.
And this is truly an international sport, and I know that it's called the Atlantic City Football Club, not soccer club,
Sure.
but there's a reason for that.
Yeah, internationally, football is the proper sport of football, and that's what everybody knows, soccer. The history of the word soccer comes from association football, which when it came over to the United States was abbreviated ASOC, and that's how they got the word soccer. And because of American football, we use soccer. However, Atlantic City is an international city. We have 30 million tourists that come here a year, and our focus is not only for a community team, but also to be something that really is a shining light to the rest of the world of what Atlantic City can be, and to attract those international teams to come over, visit Atlantic City, play us in exhibition games, and identifying as a football club was essential for that. I do feel there's teams that get taken less seriously because they're called soccer clubs.
And obviously, the success, not just as a team, but you've been able to have success for some of your players. Tell me about that as well.
Yeah, we've sent 7 guys to professional contracts in higher divisions in leagues all around the world. We sent one of our best players, Seji Rose, who was a center back that we found from a school in Pennsylvania called Jefferson University. He started for us and then signed a professional contract in Tokyo, Japan, and now he starts for a team in the minor leagues in Japan. Our captain, Sid Rivera, was the captain of the Puerto Rican national team, and he signed a professional contract in Bangladesh. So we've been placing guys all over the world, and look, soccer is a global sport, and there's a lot of opportunity, and that's also the message for the kids in this community. There's 4,000 schools, universities that have soccer programs, so there's scholarships that are available, and there's a pathway.
We're certainly very blessed to have you here in our community and giving back to the kids here in our community as well. Unfortunately, that's all the time we have, but thank you so much and continued success.
My pleasure, Bert. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us once again here on Latino Motion.
Choose to get your feet wet, to learn more about protecting our environment.
Choose to read minds, to understand the human brain.
Choose to get your hands dirty, to create a masterpiece.
Stockton University offers 50 high-quality academic programs, small class sizes, and affordable tuition. Choose to match your interests and talents at one of New Jersey's nationally ranked universities.
Funding for Latino Motion is provided by Atlanticare, a member of Geisinger, Atlantic City Electric, energy for a changing world, and South Jersey Gas.